Okay, Itamix Kanatoni, good morning. It is about 10:15 in the AM on Friday, July 19th, 2019, in the lunar cycle Misamsota, the long rains. And I've had kind of a busy morning already. Ran around town, picked up a couple of skunks, released them, and went back to the apartment to try to catch another hour or two of sleep. Stayed up pretty late last night, but no dice. Got a snake call in the canyons, and so now we're off to 34 Canyon Close to check out a rattlesnake in the backyard.
My son visiting, he has a German wire-haired pointer.
Oh yeah? The dog.
And he found him.
Dog found the rattlesnake?
Yeah, I was putting the baby stroller outside. We were going to go for a walk, and all of a sudden...
Yikes.
Here.
Just right here?
Yep. And then left, out to the sunroom. Teddy, you're staying here. He found a porcupine the other day. Unfortunately, he didn't come up so unscathed. Teddy, you stay in.
Oh, he got nailed by the porcupine, hey?
Yeah. Over 50 quills.
Yeesh. Well, still better than the rattlesnake.
You don't like this too. So, there.
Okay.
And I heard him, I came out again, and he still here, but probably a little further along.
Okay.
That's where he was.
Let's see where he is. Tricky in these plants.
Can I hold back the branches for you?
What's that?
Can I hold back the branches?
Oh no. So the wind knocked over my camera, and with it my microphone became unplugged. However, when it comes back to, you see I've got a large male rattlesnake on the lawn. I thought this might be Tobias given his size and everything, but looking at his patterns it definitely wasn't. He was pretty slippery, barely got him into the box. Ever brutal winds coming in from the west. We call them Bikani Sopo, the Bikani winds from Brockett. We blame them. This is another really big mature male rattlesnake, no doubt out hunting for females to mate with. And yeah, he was quite a difficult one to pull out of those bushes. I'm gonna switch heads for a little bit since I've just been getting these large males. This is another one of the heads that goes on my stick. It's a dual tang so that it can support heavier snakes more comfortably, and so I'm gonna see how this works for the next little bit here since I keep picking up these same size snakes. I thought this one might even be Tobias. It's so big, and the neighborhood it was in is one of the neighborhoods Tobias visits, but it's not. It may be another one that I've seen before though. I haven't been doing my due diligence since I got so much other things going on. I've been taking my pictures, but I haven't been comparing them in the photo database. I may need to enlist some assistance with that. Maybe some of the college students this winter. Whoop! There goes that camera again. Those winds. Alright, let's get a picture of this guy. Usher him out of there. Come on up. Oh yes, that is a good sized snake. Pretty snake. boyo. I won't bug you no more. Maybe while we're out here on the canyon coulee edge with this drop-off crag, maybe we should check on some of the female black widows, see how they're doing. I think this widow mama might have just had the third of those 3 egg sacs, the smaller one that was furthest away. They can have even more, but and each one of those egg sacs can have, you know, hundreds of babies. So there's going to be a big widow eruption here pretty soon. But you know, like everything else, those widow babies are food for a lot of animals. Looks like what she's doing right now is just kind of like making sure that her eggs are exposed to the sun, getting the warmth of the sun, but that they're braced against the wind, right? So she's adding extra guidelines and that kind of thing to the pocket of eggs to kind of like make sure, I think, that they don't get too blown around. And I stopped by, I looked at some of the other nests. This is the most visible one, so this is the one I decided I was going to film today. But pretty much everywhere along this crag there are black widows doing similar. This is the one with the most egg sacs so far this year. There's another one with a couple back that way and another one with a couple over here. Most of them have only just 1 egg sac though, so not a ton of eggs, not nearly what they could produce, but obviously we have a good population of black widows here in any case. Alright, so as I was pulling away from the Black Widow crag, I got a message. Well, actually, you know, when I got back to the Jeep, I kind of sat there and checked through my online messages and stuff, and was notified by one of my clients that I have a skunky in a trap. So I'm here at the residence now, and we're going to see who we've got here. Who do we got? Who do we got? Hey, skunky. Just a little guy. Just a little guy. All right. So, yeah, we'll take him out. Maybe the wilderness park, and then bring the trap back. Come on out of there, skunky. Oh man, it's currant season. All up and down the road here, leading into Alexander Wilderness Park, you have these really nice currant bushes. Golden currants, red currants, black currants, and they're all ripe and they're all delicious. Check this out. Okay, some golden currants right there. Yeah, they got that little bit of currant tartness. Oh yes. So these things, they can be frozen to preserve. They really can't be like sun-dried or anything like that. They're pretty much like a gooseberry. In fact, in Blackfoot, they're called Sarsi Paxinikimon, the Sarsi gooseberry. Let's see about this skunky. Yeah, those currants are really good for jelly. A lot of people make wine with them. Skunky. Come on, little guy. There we go. Oh, just a little guy. Off he scoots into the bush here. See you, buddy. Get him, Hudson. So I ended up pulling into the apartment and just kind of visiting with Chelsea and the kids for a little bit. Now it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, something around that, and quite warm for berry harvesting. I think berry picking is really best to do in the mornings, you know. The ideal schedule for this part of the year, for this part of summer, is, you know, wake up, have a little breakfast and stuff, go outside, go hunting, go berry harvesting. You know, berry harvest is the big thing right now. So go berry harvesting when it gets warm, like this part of the afternoon. Jump in the river, cool down, get a little bit of river exercise, wash your sweat off and all that jazz. And then what? Go home, take a siesta through the latter part of this heat. And when it cools down in the evening, that's for feasting and visiting, you know. This is like the Sundance schedule. But I'm in town, so Sundance is not even going on yet. There's Indian Days this weekend, but I've got to stay in town and work snakes. So to kind of beat some of the midday heat, I am going to spend my afternoon, or at least an hour or two, here at the new ATB Centers Arenas, our new YMCA complex in Lethbridge. And Chelsea got us a family membership about maybe a month and a half ago, and we've been using it kind of off and on, not really consistently, but we'll get there. One of the problems, I got a couple of problems with this place. All right, one of the like, you can see, I don't know if you can see, but there's like the big curling, logo on the side of the building. This kind of stuff. It's really, and it makes sense. You know, it's really built to support curling, hockey, you know, Canadian stuff. There's basketball in there now. I guess Canada consider themselves, leaders in basketball now. Toronto, thank you. But what they don't have in this giant complex is even a matted room that I can use for martial arts and jiu-jitsu. Not even a matted room. Like, that blows me away. And I don't even know that they'd be interested in having one. I can't do anything for no pay these days anyway, so I'm not going to volunteer it. But I really would like a new training center, you know, a new place to situate my Gracie garage. But that'll happen. Chelsea and I are looking for a rental place now. See if we can get out of those apartments in the short term here. But okay, so that's one thing. No support for martial artists, right? And martial arts is a big sport these days, you know. The UFC, and in fact, even here in Lethbridge, we have professional fighters, right? We have like UFC fighter, Jordan Meehan, and several other professional fighters. So why can't our big new Sportsplex arena thing support martial arts training too? You know, just give me a padded room, maybe a heavy bag, you know. So there's that issue. The other thing was, last time I visited, about a week ago, I did a little miniature triathlon. And so I rode on the bike for like 20 minutes. And then I went to go run for 20 minutes, and then I was going to swim for 20 minutes. But as I was running, they have an indoor track in there, and I was barefoot, and I was running. And one of the administrators came out to stop me from running. And I was all out of breath, and I was, you know, halfway through my workout by that time. Like a half hour into my cardio, I was out of breath and trying to talk to her and try to rationalize with her, and I probably just sounded mad because, well, I was also, you know, partially upset because I knew what she was coming. Just when I seen her on the track, you know, give me one of these, I knew, oh, okay, this is about the barefoot thing. This lady and whoever else here thinks that my bare feet are somehow dirtier than their shoes. Geez, well, I guess it's time to get a new external microphone system. This one keeps cutting out on me. Anyway, on with the story here. So I was running. She came out to stop me, and I was out of breath, and I was a little bit upset and stuff. And so, you know, the first thing I said to her was, "You really think that your shoes are cleaner than my feet?" But for sure enough, that's what she was stopping me for. She said there was a hygiene issue and this kind of thing, so I asked her to explain it. And, you know, how come people can run on that track with their shoes? They're not supposed to bring street shoes, but everybody does, you know, or most people do bring street shoes in there. So how come it's okay they can run with their street shoes, drip sweat off of their foreheads, you know, that's coming through their eyes, off their mouth, their nose, all the orifices that diseases are actually transferred through. How come they can drip that sweat on the mat, but for some reason, if I'm running barefoot, suddenly there's a hygiene issue? So when I tried to argue some of this stuff, you know, not as eloquently in my half hour into cardio, then she flipped it on me and said, "Well, it's a safety issue," you know. And I basically just said, "No, it's not," you know. And left her at that, and I went and put on shoes and ran the rest. But it isn't a safety. Well, it is a safety issue, but it's a safety issue for me. And so, you know, on this day, I was going into the gym to do the workout, I said I was going to go talk to them more about it, and I did. I went in, and I found that same person who stopped me. She happens to be a personal trainer, I guess, and asked her if I could have a copy of the rules around the barefooting. And so she went back and got a city administrator in a back room who came out and pointed to me on the wall a rule that says, you know, no street shoes, no open-toed shoes. He didn't say no barefoot, said no open toes. But in any case, with this administrator, I got to present my full argument and say, really, for me, this is a safety issue. I've been running for a decade in my bare foot. You know, as soon as I start running in shoes, it changes how you move your feet, and I can feel the difference. I can feel little micro pains all over my feet. You know, as soon as I start running in shoes, it's BS. It messes up your ankles, it messes up your feet, messes up your knees, messes up your hips. There's a lot of science supporting this, and so I want to talk to somebody who I can appeal the rule with. So they took my name and number, and apparently somebody's gonna get in touch with me. We'll see. Just being the cranky old man, you know. Early evening now. There's a goose family, a new goose family in town, a 5-member goose family. Not quite integrating with the other 3 families that were already here. I know you probably can't see them, but I can see them on the other side of the shore. And when I walked in, the 5-member family were pretty much isolated in the water, but they followed the other 3 ashore now. So don't know where they came from. Probably. Oh, do we have squabbles? Yeah, I don't think that 5-member family is quite integrating yet, but they probably will. Check this out. That is a very nice little flicker feather. Northern flicker. Hybrid, almost yellow shafted. Kind of red at the beginning of the quill, transition into a yellow. That's pretty nice. Yeah, it is molting time for a lot of the birds, and so, you know, if you want to look for feathers, even though you're not supposed to pick up feathers and all that, especially of migrating birds and such, but now is the time. In any case, maybe you're looking for magpie feathers. I believe that's perfectly legal. Now would be the time to be doing that. So feather season. I came out of the gym and found that we were surrounded by thunderclouds, and it looked like it was going to be imminent rain, so I retreated to the protection of the apartment. Found that Chelsea and the kids were still there getting ready for tonight's forays at the Indian Days, the kind of Indian Days and standoff. Wish I could go, but I am the rattlesnake man on call for the night. In fact, I don't have a lot of leeway for for having any absences over the next week or so. One of my 2 potential substitutes is just totally away for the week, so I got to be on the ball here, even though there's cool festivities going on in standoff, and it would be fun to go watch a little bit. Any case, I retreated to the apartment for a little bit, thought about coming out to pick berries, and then thought I'd really rather tonight just have a walk, just a little walk around, just a mental health break, you know. I need those mental health breaks these days. The more of them, the better. But you never know. I might pick some berries along the way, and who knows what I'll see. And if I don't see anything, you know, really special among the animals and such to show you, I'll at least be able to show you some good scenery out here. It's a nice night. I like the colors. I like the gray skies, you know. Reminds me of a little bit of Oregon and stuff. I feel comfortable when it's overcast. Not that I don't like the sunny days either, but there's something about gray overcast that I enjoy, and kind of needed today at the end of the heat, you know. So beavers are out. Our young beaver seems to have a secondary lodge set up here. Look at these two. A little bit older, that's probably his parents. And he's probably a 2-year-old, starting to move out on his own. Yeah, he scooted right up in here somewhere under the bank. Big beaver here is just cleaning off these absent stems, just taking their leaves right off. I'm gonna hang out somewhere up here, conceal myself, and see if he comes up for more. That big beaver never came ashore. Instead, he or she swam out that way to one of the islands and grabbed some kind of plant there. Not exactly sure what she's got. Doesn't look like something she would have got from the islands. It looks like actually a piece of some kind of brush. I wonder if she's harvesting currants. No, I suspect it's a little sapling. I suspect it's a little poplar sapling. Yeah, she still had these two pieces of absinthe that she'd cut up here. I collected. I was gonna walk him down to her, but doesn't look like she's gonna stop here. Looks like she's going on, so I'll just leave him back on her path. Really is interesting that beaver was eating absinthe. Absinthe's other English name, of course, is wormwood. And one of the things that plant is known for, aside from being neurotoxic and being the primary ingredient in producing the hallucinogenic liquor absinthe, the other thing that plant is known for is flushing parasites out of the system, worms, right? Hence wormwood. More evidence of the beaver. Oh no, this is different. Yeah, back that way I saw some evidence that the beaver were harvesting one of our willow species. I believe this same, it might even be a narrowleaf cottonwood sapling. Probably is. But yeah, they were harvesting some of that over there, and it was recent harvest, so you know they're getting at a host of different things. I bet if I just stuck around out there and watched for an evening here at length, I'd see quite a bit in terms of what they're eating. And yeah, the wormwood thing. Yeah, that I wonder if it indicates that beaver has parasites, you know, that it needs that absinthe. I wonder if it's taking it medicinally, or if it's just eating it. If it's just eating it, that means, you know, it's, which you already knew, like its stomach and its digestive system really does different things than ours, you know. Being able to just eat absinthe because it's in season, that would be pretty different from us. But be cool to know, and it was neat to see. So this place still teaches me, like, even after visiting so many times, you know, a couple, 2-3 times a week for well over a decade, yeah, I still learn something. Most times I'm out here, I still learn a little something. It all's incremental. Alex sure did teach me a lot. Now I'm going to be watching for when the magpies return to the forest. It's mother whitetail and fawn out on the wet meadows. Looks like they're munching in a patch of white sweet clover. Can't be for sure that's what the plant that they're eating from here, but it's a good guess. Here's an entire little community of brilliantly flowering plants of a species that I'm unfamiliar with, even though I've been coming here all these years, and I know, well, we'll say most of the flowering plants here. I have a plant ID app on my phone that I tried to use there, and it came up with a Lysimachia genus match. The species that it suggested to me I don't think is accurate, because it was described as being, you know, 2 feet tall, and that's not 2 feet tall, that's about 1 foot tall. And but the soils, you know, that they describe, kind of sandy, you know, loamy and moist soils, matches. So it might be of that genus. I'm already forgetting the name of it. I like common names. I don't like the taxonomic names. They're difficult to learn, and it feels like a specialized language that, you know, it keeps commoners out. So I'm gonna have to figure out what species this is. I always remember whenever I find a species out here in flower, I always remember this thing that Reg Ernst told me. He was the biologist who passed me over the rattlesnake program. He was the guy that started the program, but he told me that out here at Spopikimi there is a very rare flower, might even be the only species, you know, the only representation of the species, I think he said, in the world. It's that sapsucker getting mad that I'm coming through. Yeah, I think he said it might be the only representative of that species in the world, and it's here at Spopikimi. And he was telling me this while he was training me for the rattlesnake position when I was out in the field with him, I think at Popson Park. And it must have been, you know, late July into August, something like that. And he was saying, in fact, it might be blooming right now. But he never showed me it. Never even told me what it is. So, not that I can't get a hold of him. But I'm going to see. This is probably a relatively common species that I'm just unfamiliar with. That still happens. Still happens. This little goldfinch here. I think he was sitting on a, yeah, he was sitting on a salsify, picking the little thistlehead pieces off of a salsify. It's just at this one too. Anyway, I just been getting messages on my phone from a neighbor at one of my trap sites that says that the trap that she's monitoring has been triggered, maybe by the rain, because there's nobody in there. So I'm gonna go reset that trap so that I make sure we catch anything overnight, and then that's probably a wrap for me for this round, you know, unless I get another snake call.